Okay, we should be recording. Welcome back to the 8-6 Experience, your premier motoring enthusiast podcast. I'm Nate, half past 8 on YouTube and Twitch, and I'm joined by Brandon, Swag Rabbit, on the same. Today, a preview of the new Kia Telluride. The Dodge Charger RT is the same as ever. New road taxes may be coming for electric vehicles, and more evidence that we've all learned nothing from Slammed Enough Gat. All this and more on episode 3 of the 8-6 Experience. So, first up on the docket, the new 2027 Kia Telluride Hybrid, which looks, for what it is, not unimpressive, I will say. Highlights are it gets 329 horsepower from one engine and 2 electric motors, 30 plus miles per gallon, presumably if you're not pushing it. Presumably that's highway numbers. I think city numbers, well, hybrids tend to get pretty decent city mileage, so maybe that is city as well. And I mean, beyond that, it's a hybrid SUV. They're all pretty much the same, but it looks neat.
It does look pretty decent. I will say I think they're very much trying to capitalize on the look of an Escalade a little bit, and it might be a little too much. But
yeah, I can see that.
It's a decent looking car. I won't say it's bad. What are 329 horsepower and 30 plus miles to the gallon? That's good mileage to the gallon for a family hauler. I mean, I'd say this is going to be a pretty good soccer mom car.
It's good for soccer moms or for drug dealers who aren't quite doing so well in this economy. I mean, I can, now that you mention it, I hadn't thought about that, but now that you mention it, I can definitely see the Escalade in this thing.
Yeah, you compare this side by side to an Escalade, and the rear end is going to look almost identical.
I will say I'm not a fan of the interior, but that's because I don't like this minimalist iPad dash shit. But as far as minimalist iPad dash shit goes, it's not awful, actually. I've definitely seen worse. The iPad is unobtrusive and tasteful. I like the lighting. The lighting's very nice.
It's not terrible, that's for sure. It seems like with the lighting, they're trying to pull off a little bit of what Mercedes has got going on in their interiors.
That's true.
I will say, with the way the iPad Dash looks like and the way the rest of the Dash is, I mean, it's a slightly busier Tesla interior, is what it looks like.
Yeah, essentially. But if this is what we're settling on in the car market, I mean, it's at least got physical buttons for the climate control. They're kind of crappy. You don't get a dial or anything, but they're there. Then with all the controls in the steering wheel, I wonder if you can control most of the dash functionality with the steering wheel buttons. Because if you can do that, and if it's set up and integrated properly, that could be not awful for what's clearly trying to be a budget version of a luxury SUV. Because, I mean, that's what this is. It's the luxury kind of performance SUVs. They're comparing it to the Palisade Hybrid, which got 0 to 60 in 6.6. This probably is similar, 6.6, 6.8. I think they said it's about like 60K. Yeah, it's 60K. So it's they're trying to make, I think, a budget version of the like 80, 90K or more like Mercedes luxury quasi performance SUVs, but the Korean budget version of it.
So wait, the 60K is a package. It's called the SX Prestige. It's like it's a loaded package on it. So we think that the 60K hybrid price with the optional packages is better value to be had than in the lower trims that sticker between 48 and 30 and 56. So 48 on the low end,
yeah,
60 on the high end. 48 is a decent price for something this big, like a full-size family hauler like this. I'd say 48 is right in there.
Yeah.
The new Prelude that's failing its ass off right now costs more than that.
I feel like, speaking on the Prelude, I feel like as much as I bring up the Baja all the time, you bring up the Prelude all the time, and probably for similar reasons.
I have one. I have a 5th gen, dude. I'm pissed at the new Prelude. Are you fucking kidding? Oh, yo, we're not in the grinds my gears section yet. All right, let's just drop that one.
Fair enough. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like 48 for this, and then 12 grand, up to 12 grand worth of like luxury options. Yeah, I mean, this is a Korean budget model. It's the Koreans doing what the Koreans do best, which is taking like what everyone else is making and making the budget version of it. Now it's a KN, so it's gonna crap out on you in 50K, but you know, at least it should be cheaper to service than a Mercedes.
I will say that so we have in the family, we have a member of my family with one of these, but it's not the brand new one. It's maybe like 4 years old, and she hasn't had many problems with it. So if they can keep that reliability up, I'd say this is going to be a very good deal.
Fair enough. Yeah, if they can make it reliable, it's gonna be a very good deal. I also like how it says the hybrid is only rated to tow 4,500 pounds. That's respectable.
4,500 pounds for this, yeah, but yeah. I'd be worried about the transmission.
I mean, if it's rated for it, you know.
Yeah, but they can say rated for it, but if the hybrid system's brand new to the car, then there's going to be issues.
True. That does give you enough towing capacity that you can hitch up a toy trailer from U-Haul, put an 8.6 on it, and take it down to the track. And it's probably one of the more comfortable vehicles you can do that in.
So this is your new hauling car, is what I'm hearing.
I'm not going to drop 48 grand on a hybrid performance SUV. That's not my thing, but if it's your thing, there certainly are many worse choices. They do mention, I forget where.
The powertrain interests me a little bit. So turbocharged and intercooled dual overhead cam. 16 valve 2.5 liter inline.
Okay.
So 258 horsepower. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Combined output 329 horsepower, 339 foot-pounds of torque, and a lithium-ion battery pack. The thing that worries me about any lithium-ion battery pack is the problem that Fisker had with these fuckers. If you don't seal them properly and they flood out, you have risk of fire.
That's true.
And that is just the continuous worry with any electric car.
Yeah. That 48K trim is probably front-wheel drive, but there is an all-wheel drive trim. If you're putting electric motors in it, I don't know why you would ever make it not all-wheel drive.
So $48,035 for the EX front-wheel drive, and then it's up to $56 for the X-Line all-wheel drive.
Okay.
Package.
Yeah. They do mention that the car feels heavy. It's over 5,000 pounds, and it feels it, which of course, and that's why we scoff at the notion of a performance SUV, is because you can put all the power in it if you want, it's still going to handle like shit. And they all, except for maybe like the Urus or what's the Ferrari one?
The Purosangue.
Yeah, the Purosangue.
The ugliest Ferrari I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry. I've never owned one of those.
Aside from maybe those, which are the really high-end ones, they're all going to handle like shit. And they're not going to handle their weight very well.
Even the Urus has weight distribution problems.
Yeah. So
like cornering and stuff, they can't take it.
Yeah, so that's not really a shock for this vehicle. But as much as it is a performance model, I wouldn't use that performance aside from like getting on a highway.
This is a family hauler. You use the performance to clear the lines so that the engine will last longer effectively.
Yeah, you
just get on it for a little bit to clear out stuff.
Yeah, don't buy a high horsepower SUV to whip around and have fun. But
effectively,
you know, this for 48 to 60, yeah, it's solid, especially with what all it's offering, and a not great but inoffensive interior, I would say.
I feel like this is going to be a perfect starting point for people that can't quite afford to get into either a Tahoe or a Yukon. But they want to start doing like Uber Black. I feel like this is a perfectly reasonable option for that, and you could actually make a ton of money on the overhead.
Does Uber Black make that much money nowadays?
I feel like if you have your own service in a couple of vehicles and go from Uber Black into an actual service, it can very quickly. I don't think
Fair enough.
Uber itself makes the money. I think that's where you get the practice so you can start setting up LLCs.
That's understandable. 130 mile an hour top speed, 15-second quarter mile. That's surprisingly long for something with electric motors. So it gets off the line fast, and then it's got no overhead. That
Well,
tracks.
it really doesn't need it. It just needs low end torque enough to get it moving, and then it doesn't need much after that.
And it's got plenty. So yeah,
It does.
As far as these things go, I like them. I kind of like this one.
I could be convinced to be a fan of this if I had to ride around in one.
Yeah.
I will say that it looks close enough to a vehicle like I said, it looks very similar to the Yukons and the Cadillacs.
Yeah.
With the Escalade though, the Escalades start at 120 and go up to like 150 or something. Or like they start at 90 or something for the lower trims. So this is, if you go at the highest trim level, $60,000, this is still less than half of that car.
Yeah. And as long as they can keep them reliable, it's a solid deal. Not much more to say to that. Moving on to more exciting vehicles, hopefully more exciting. The 26 Dodge Charger RT, so that's this year's one, the one with the inline six. This is basically Dodge's answer to the Supra, as far as I call it. I mean, it's probably not what they're intending for, but it's an inline six coupe, so I'm gonna call it an American Supra, or an attempted American Supra. 420 horsepower, Hurricane inline six. Did you ever find out if the Scat Pack was a V8? I'm not a Dodge guy, so I don't know.
New variant of the 2026 Dodge Charger is now available. It isn't the one we were hoping for. We're all waiting for Mopar to do the righteous thing by sticking a large displacement V8. So the new Charger 6-pack RT trades a stable of ponies for a more affordable starting price compared to the higher output 6-pack Scat model. It looks like it's just going to be more power through the V6, which means the engine is probably going to fail faster.
Is it a V6 or an inline six?
It's an inline six.
Okay.
Whatever it is, I couldn't care less about these cars if they don't have the word V8 in them. I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't care.
There's certainly enough consumer demand, so I don't know why they don't do it.
They're waiting for the government to change its mind on EV mandates and shit.
Which they already have.
Yes, and it's funny because Toyota was faster on the uptick than Dodge was somehow. You were just talking about the Supra. Funny you mentioned that. The moment that they dropped the EV mandates, Supra was like the next, or Toyota was like, the next Supra's got a V8 in
it. What's interesting is they spent a lot of this article comparing the 6-pack, the 6-pack RT, I should say, to the 6-pack Scat Pack, which makes 130 more horsepower. It's apparently just more power, really better suspension, I think. And then at the bottom, which I'm scrolling past a lot, comparison is like, it's $5,000. And this is where we get into like this thing. It's like you could have this with an inline six with, I mean, admittedly a respectable and more than probably most people that buy these things can handle 420 horsepower, or for $5,000, 5 crisp bands, you could get the Scat Pack, which has another 130 horsepower and I think a better suspension. Why would you buy this one?
So when these come out, I guarantee you that the dealerships, which have been losing a ton of money on everything, and this is all dealerships, this isn't just Dodge, but Dodge specifically on this one is going to look at it and go, this car is going to sell. It doesn't have the V8, but people are going to want to try it. I think the Hurricane inline six has got some juju to it, and people are going to want to buy it. These cars are not. The Scat Packs are not going to be $5,000 over.
That's true.
For they are going to be 20 grand over because they think they're going to sell, and then they're going to sit on the lot just like everything else does right now.
Yeah, but I mean, this thing's gonna sit on the lot too, because I know last episode we're talking about Subaru and about the like the 8.6 line and the value for money.
Yeah, this
This
thing's an ugly
thing,
bastard.
yeah, that front end is a face only a mother could love. You got to drive around with a bag on the front. Starting price of 52 grand just for like the base. If you want the really good suspension, it's another 3 grand. If you want four door, it's another 2 grand. I mean, they even make the comparison. It is like, what is that? 3.5 grand more expensive than the Mustang GT.
Yeah, 3.5 more.
Yeah,
than the Mustang GT, and the Mustang GT still has a V8 in it.
Yeah.
For that price. So
Um,
this is going to fail before it even gets off the ground because the Mustang isn't dropping the V8.
Yeah. And you're comparing this thing to, I mean, what does an M3 go for nowadays?
Not an M3. Look up just like the base, the 330i's or whatever. Probably are similar. The M3s go for a premium now.
330i's 48 to 49. So a little cheaper than the Mustang GT. And
it takes about, with any like non-M model, it takes upgraded brakes and like maybe $3,000 worth of mods on the like the intake and exhaust, and it's basically an M3.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take much. It takes some retuning.
So for the price of this thing, you can get a 330i and you can do most of that. Certainly you can do the tuning and suspension work. And you have a like budget M3.
Yeah, you have
the same price
M car for the same price as this.
That probably handles better and probably handles better than this thing, even if you pay for the $3,000 suspension package, because it's a pony car. They don't turn. Yeah. They go in straight lines. They don't turn. There's a reason why Ford didn't stop using the solid rear axle on the Mustang until like, what was it, like 2020, 2022, like a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Because they don't turn, and everyone knows they don't. I mean, this thing weighs like 4,900 pounds. So
this thing it's not going to turn, but it'll drift pretty good if you know what you're doing.
That's true.
That's about it. That's like, why these cars end up at takeovers so often, though, because you can't turn them worth shit, but you can spin them.
That's true, but when it comes to the kind of racing you're going to be doing in this thing, it's not going to be going around a track. It's going to be going in a straight line, and when you consider that, you then get a handle for what this is competing with, and you can get something that is faster in a straight line for cheaper, which is kind of the problem with the value proposition. And again, if you want the better version of this, which is the Scat Pack with the twin turbo and another 130 horsepower, which is like most of a first or second gen Miata crammed into the hood, it's $5 grand.
Yeah. So
these things are not going to sell.
No, they're not going to sell. Here's the thing about this car: the twin turbos, twin turbo setups are not reliable at all from factory.
Well, yeah,
because they have to build them to be affordable. They don't fucking spend money on the turbos, so the turbos go out super quickly. These cars, when they do sell, are gonna be raced because people are like, I want to see how fast it'll go, so they'll be doing drag racing and shit, and they'll blow the turbos in 6 months.
It is at least all-wheel drive, and apparently you can disconnect the center, or you can like lock the center diff so that it has a rear-wheel drive mode.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is the same thing they're doing in the M cars, except the M cars keep crashing because people don't know how to drive it.
Yeah,
which is exactly what's going to happen here.
I find it interesting that for their tests of this thing, they took it to Team O'Neill in New Hampshire. I thought Connecticut for some reason. Team O'Neill in New Hampshire. I've gone rallying with some of the people from Team O'Neill. They're pretty good, but I find it kind of interesting that in order to get like glamour shots of this thing going around corners, they had to take it onto a snowed-in rally track at like a proper rally school, because you're not really putting this thing sideways in a fun manner. This like 4,900 pound pony car, and that's not to say this thing is bad. Again, great for drag racing, great for drifting, great for, I mean, there are track categories these things compete in, but I don't know. I don't see the value proposition being very good, because for what this thing is, you can get the same thing in other platforms for cheaper. And if you want something better, it's only $5,000.
The
Even
Hurricane,
with dealer markups being a thing.
The Hurricane, I don't think has been tested in a sports car either. I think the Hurricane was first introduced, and if I remember correctly, it was first introduced in the Ram.
That tracks. Which, I mean, that does, at least, as much as it's an inline six and not a V8, that does give this thing some credibility as a proper pony car, because that's what pony cars are supposed to be. You take a truck engine and you put it in a coupe.
So it was originally introduced in the Ram 1500, the Jeep Wagoneer, and the Grand Wagoneer, and all of those cars in the past couple of years have had massive problems because of this engine. And they want to put that into a fucking sports car and then have it on a competing price scale with M cars and the V8 GT.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking here. This is going to fail really hard for 1 year, and then they're finally going to get their head out of their ass and go, wait, we don't have to worry about fucking all the bullshit with the EPA anymore. Let's put a V8 back in this bitch.
I hope so.
They're going to have to redesign that front end, though, because I'm not buying one while it looks like that.
Yeah. What's the skid pad? Did they say? They do not. 13 sec. Wow. 4.7 seconds to 60, and then a 13-second quarter mile. So, and 127 mile an hour top speed. What the fuck? 127. 127. The 8.6 goes. No, for the RT. The 8.6 goes faster.
I know. What do you mean? I've been 135 in mine. What do you mean 126 mile an hour? 126 miles? Are you fucking kidding me?
How is this thing?
Okay, so the same price for almost an M car that'll do 150.
8-speed automatic. What does that thing have? 6 overdrives? What the fuck?
Are you joking?
No, not even 6 overdrives. Like, so this thing literally is geared. It must be an insane final drive in that thing. Like not even a 5, like a 560 or something. So all it does is go to 60, and there's no top end after that. You hit 60, and then it just goes. What the fuck?
The Hurricane Twin Turbo, which is that engine, has reported issues so far with premature thermostat failure at only 10 to 30k miles, leading to overheating. Potential catalytic converter melting due to high heat, and various electronic software issues causing check engine lights and misfires. And that's not even getting into turbo problems, which are going to happen once people get high enough mileage. And the turbos are not going to be cheap. They're going to be expensive as hell, even though they were cheap for the dealer.
Okay, this makes no sense. It has a 345 final drive.
Okay.
With 127 mile an hour top speed with a 345. Granted, it's got 3 overdrives. 6th, 7th, and 8th are all overdrives. That has to be electronically limited. There's no way. There's no way that you have a 420 horsepower engine with a 345 final drive, and it's only 4,900 pounds. And it only gets 127 miles an hour. That has to be electronically limited.
I'm going to be honest. I guarantee you that at least Dodge has had problems with the government behind the scenes. Your cars run from us too much. You need to be... we need to do something about that. And now they're electronically limiting to try to get the government off their back. I guarantee you it's because their shit is used in crime more than any other thing.
Which does kind of imply that if you can find a way to turn that BS off in a modern, fully electronically integrated car, good luck. This thing would probably make a decent track toy, except that you can get one for cheaper, or you can get a better one for only $5,000 more.
How much is a standalone ECU setup?
Like, in 2032, there are going to be people buying these because it's the only thing they have available locally, and disabling the limiter and taking them on the track. And maybe then like 6-7 years down the line, when the engines have been rebuilt to get rid of all the BS, and we have entire forums full of people that can list out and the common problems and the fixes. Maybe this will be a decent track toy at that point.
So if you want to get rid of all the stuff, all these stupid electronic limiters and everything in most modern day cars, you'd need to completely redo the ECU with a standalone.
Yeah.
So that you could retune it correctly, and that's $10,000 ish after everything.
10 grand?
Well, the parts go up to $4,000 depending on what you buy, but like for the good stuff, it'd probably be around $10,000 by the time you were done.
Okay, I'm coming at this from like old Subies, where getting a standalone ECU is a full setup. So the ECU and the wiring harness merge, not including the tune, is like $2 or $3 grand.
But dude, the shop is going to charge you the shop is going to charge you 30 plus hours or some stupid shit at over $100 an hour for the work. Well, and then they have to tune it after that.
And you have to, and they're going to charge you more because you have to find the kind of shop that's willing to play fast and loose with EPA regulations.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's going to end up costing you. The parts aren't the issue. The fucking labor is the issue. So if you can do it yourself, you could get the parts for as low as 15 and as high as 4+. Which will save you some money.
Not including harness, I'd imagine.
For the unit sensors tuning.
Okay.
Though budget DIY options.
Sensors. So you're talking about basically like tearing everything off the engine and plugging everything back in.
You have to, because all of those sensors and shit are fucking wired to.
That's true. CAN bus
signals.
Again, I'm used to old Subies where everything is just wired directly, and you do a harness merge and that's it. You just rewire everything to the new standalone, and you're good.
Look, everyone wishes it was still that simple. The unfortunate truth is it's not anymore.
It can be that simple. You just just have to buy a 20-year-old Subaru and deal with 20-year-old Subaru issues. I'm currently dealing with 20-year-old Subaru issues. My 20-year-old Subaru is sitting out there. The battery is disconnected and the intake is off because I have to replace the starter so I can get it running so I can replace the head gaskets.
It's 80%. It's 80% at 10 years or older, and then it's almost 100% by 15.
Yeah,
where you don't have to worry about stupid shit like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't hate this thing. I just think it's underwhelming. If it was like $5 or $6 grand cheaper, or if it had like some more impressive specs. Really, honestly, if it was like $5 or $6 grand cheaper, it would be actually like pretty attractive.
Well, and go to the more on the charger section a little bit further down, and it's built for burnouts. So honestly, they just want people to buy this and do burnouts. Literally, more on the charger. It says 2026 details, pricing, and specs, and the next one down is the Dodge Charger 6-pack is built for burnouts. I don't give a shit.
Does Dodge own stock in Michelin or something?
Why would you? I'm gonna be honest. They probably do own stock in Michelin. Let's be honest.
I want to see this one now.
Michelin is like the official tire of Dodge at this point.
Okay. Scat Pack goes up to 177 miles an hour. So what's going on with the RT?
It's electronically limited to make $5 grand to look like a good bet. They're hedging their bets to get you to buy the higher end model.
Oh, I don't like this.
What are you looking at?
I mean, you can see it on Discord. I'm streaming it to you. But operated via a brake-by-wire e-boost system that adjusts the response depending on the drive mode. Fuck off! You're putting a computer between me and the brakes? Are you nuts?
Didn't we just have a conversation last week about this? About a car doing this and it failing fucking really badly?
No.
The brake does not need a system between you and stopping the fucking car.
More than that, like, it's like, oh, it adjusts the response between different drive modes. Okay, so if I change drive modes, I have to get used to the new drive. I have to get used to how the brakes feel again. That's freaking stupid. Just give me brakes, and then it does the same thing every single time, and it's predictable.
What are you going to change? Put more pressure on the system and overpressurize it so it heats up and melts all your fucking brake fluid? What are we doing here? What changes are you possibly making to say, oh, we have a system between the brake pedal and the fucking actual stopping?
Yeah. The electric charger Daytona Scat Pack, which is $62, which is actually, like, apparently substantially cheaper than it was last year. So that's the one to go for. I mean, a performance hybrid charger sounds kind of interesting, but I do look forward to us in a couple months or a year or so watching the latest iteration of the chargers trying to run from GSP compilation video, when we can watch the chase go up to 127 miles an hour and then stay there.
Mark my words, and if anybody pulls this video, I want it clipped. Mark my words. When we're watching one of those videos and somebody blows a turbo, I'm calling it right now. I am calling it, because when the turbo blows, we're going to see a ton of smoke out the fucking tailpipe, and then they're going to run into a tree because they now have no control over the car. Because for some reason, these idiots at Dodge are going to fucking program the turbo so that if it goes out, it also takes other systems with it that can cascade failure into it not being able to stop or control something. Because I don't know why they're so overcomplicated, but they insist on being overcomplicated every fucking time. You know what I mean?
How does
I'm
that
at least
work?
calling that they're going to blow a turbo.
Does the
I don't
turbo
know, but
send shrapnel around, or does it fuck with the electronics? And how would it fuck with the electronics? It's a turbo.
No, no. Here's the thing. So,
because I haven't heard of this.
So no, I look. I'm calling that they're going to be overcomplicated, and the turbo blowing is going to confuse the shit out of the computer, and the computer is just going to freak out to the point where it just deletes your control over the car. Because they're so overcomplicated that I could see this happening. I'm calling two things right now. I'm calling a turbo blowing during a fucking police chase. It's going to happen eventually, which is going to be funny as hell, and I'm calling it right now. And the second is that sooner or later, it might not be on this car, it might not be anytime soon, but these cars are going to get so overcomplicated if they don't back off their own fucking high horses that systems are going to freak each other out and cause massive accidents because they lose control over stupid fucking little, like, sensor failures.
I think that's already happening.
I'm pretty sure it is already happening, but like,
yeah,
they need to get their head out of their ass. They need to make them where normal people can work on this shit again.
Yeah, because there's no way you're working on this kind of thing. So moving on, complete change in tone here. The United States House Transport Committee wants to start taxing EVs and hybrid vehicles. They're proposing it's $250 annual fee on EVs, down from the $1,000 a year initially proposed, and $100 for hybrids. So the point of this is because they have control over the federal gas tax, which I think is like 13 cents a gallon. It's tax the federal government collects on all gas, separate from all petrol sales, petrol and diesel sales, separate from the state level gas taxes that pays for the maintenance of federal roads. So like the Eisenhower interstate system, stuff like that. The problem that they're running into is that the load on the roads is about the same, or, increasing slowly year by year as the population grows up, but tax revenue is going down. They don't have as much money to maintain these roads because EVs and hybrids, which don't use as much gas but put the same strain on the road. This is the solution. I think $1,000 a year is frickin' steep, but $250 for EVs, it sounds about right. It's probably around what you pay in gas taxes for a gas. Actually, I can calculate that because I know how much gas I buy roughly on a weekly basis, and I can go from there.
My
I
shit-eating
buy.
grin right now has everything to do with the fact that I think $1,000 to get them off their high horse is perfectly reasonable to me.
I mean, that's true. I
These
buy.
fuckers enjoyed so many tax loopholes over the years because they were pushing the EV mandate, and now that that's not going, we all knew this was going to happen. We all knew that enough of the market was going to be taken by
Mhm.
EVs that they were going to lose a bunch of revenue. If you
Yeah.
even thought about it for a little bit, the government was pushing people towards something that they weren't taxing. Now enough people are in it and they go, we miss those taxes that we used to have, and now they're going to tax them. You've had enough tax benefits. Now you can fucking overcharge for a little bit, you fuckers.
So, on my calculations, I pay from my daily driving to work, I pay about 81 bucks to the Fed every year in gas taxes. With like road trips and miscellaneous driving, and especially now that I'm starting to race, um, probably closer to 150 bucks a year, I would
I'd say.
say. But granted, I mean, I drive reasonably efficient little cars, so 250 is probably closer to what someone who's driving like an SUV, which is what most EVs are, of regardless of size, are comparable to an SUV or a full size truck in terms of how much they weigh, in terms of the damage they do to the roads. So 250 seems fair. This is, I mean, I'm not a fan of taxes. I'm by no means a fan of taxes, but there are some taxes that make sense. And, I would rather this than everything be a toll road. Gas taxes,
Yeah.
road taxes make sense. This seems perfectly fair to me, just like the gas tax is perfectly fair to me. I pay 13 cents a gallon, and in exchange, the highways are maintained. I pay like 30 cents a gallon in New York, and the state run roads are pothole filled messes. But that's a problem I have with the state. I don't have a problem with the tax. I have a problem with the fact that it's not getting used. Um,
That's not getting used correctly. It's getting used.
yeah.
It's going somewhere, probably to kickbacks.
This is also going to go on top of, some states are starting to impose these taxes as well. An EV advocacy group has argued that it was unfair. Average gas powered vehicle pays just $88 yearly in federal gas taxes. The average gas powered vehicle doesn't weigh 5,000 friggin' pounds and doesn't have motors that propel it from 0 to 60 in like under 4 seconds, and drivers that love to mash the pedal because they love feeling that kick in their seat.
And they've
So I
also
don't want to
spent
hear
the
it.
last decade, yeah, these people have also spent the last decade not having to pay certain things
Yeah, and
at all.
getting
So
tax benefits for buying them. And it's when you all start driving Nissan Leafs that weigh like 3,000 pounds and have a like 60-mile, I think the new ones have like 120-mile range, that do as much damage to the road as my Subi, then you can talk about paying as much in gas taxes as I pay for my Subi. But
yeah, so
while you're saying like I need to have this like 6,000-pound Cybertruck, yeah, you're gonna pay the same tax probably as someone who's driving a full-size truck because
the
you're
weight
doing
of
as much
these is
damage
also
to the road.
trending. Yeah, the weight of these is also trending upwards.
Yeah.
So you started with the Model 3s and stuff. Those were four doors, but they were semi-light. They were kind
Hmm.
of simpler. And then you had the Nissan Leafs, and they trended a little bit smaller for a little bit. And then now the newest set of electric that I just saw, I mean, they're making an EV Escalade.
How much is that gonna weigh?
Fucking a lot. It's an Escalade. They always weigh a lot.
Yeah. 2026 Model Y is anywhere between 4 and 4,500 pounds.
And the Y is the most the Y is honestly what I see the most when I see Teslas on the road.
Yeah.
Like it's a bigger vehicle.
Model
So
X
the weights are
is
trending upward. They could
five to
charge them more.
5,000 to 5,500 pounds. The Cybertruck is 6,500 to 7,000 pounds. So, you can complain about you're being charged more than the average car, but you weigh more than the average car, and you go 0 to 60 faster than the average car, which is like the only performance metric that you have on the average car.
Hey, bro.
So,
So the Escalade IQ, which is their EV, 9,000 to over
ooh,
9,400 pounds.
yeah, that thing can pay a $250 a year fee.
That thing could pay $1,000 a year fee. You can afford it. You can afford an Escalade, asshole.
Well, most of them are paying like 20% APR on a 96-month loan, so it's
That's
dubious.
true. They'll get
But
fucking repoed in no time. But
yeah, like this argument just doesn't carry weight. Again, when your cars weigh as much and have the same performance, not same performance, same straight line performance as the average car, you can talk about paying the same as an average car in road tax. When your vehicles weigh more than the average car, which puts more strain on the road, and end up getting off the line faster, which puts more strain on the average road, guess what? You're gonna have to pay more than the average car.
yeah, and
Sucks.
also
Tough shit. $1,000, and I'm going to stand up for you, and I'm going to say $1,000 is a bit freaking steep, but 250 sounds about right, and then 100 for hybrids, which is like, yeah, whatever. I also love
hybrids are also paying a gas tax.
yeah,
So
so
a
it
hundred
makes
for
sense for it to
hybrids
be
is
lower.
it's
Yeah.
probably higher than it should be even at that point anyway, because they're already paying for the gas tax too.
I love this line, which really reveals the biases in this article. The Trump administration is taking a series of steps to disincentivize EV sales, including repealing a $7,500 EV tax credit last year. Now, it may be technically true that repealing an incentive is acting to disincentivize, but you know what people are going to think when they read that.
I know exactly
Yeah.
what they're trying to go for in this article, but the tax credit was for when the government actually fucking thought, even though they had, proof to the contrary that this was going to help the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Once once we find out that it's not actually helping the environment, that it's just putting, you know, making these batteries just putting more in the air than the average life of a diesel truck.
Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. I hope it passes because it's time for EV owners to get the same driving experience as everyone else. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to pay for the roads that you use. Speaking of laws, San Diego City Council is, I know this is more local news, but it's kind of a national trend. So I'm gonna
It's
point out
not
an
local
example.
to either of us, so it
Yeah.
works.
Well, more to the point is like, why is it relevant? Well, because this is a trend in a lot of places. They're approving lowering speed limits on 20% of the streets in the city, which means 25 miles an hour and 15 in school zones. Now, I have a nuanced position on this. On the one hand, you shouldn't be blasting through school zones at 60 miles an hour. You shouldn't be blasting through residential neighborhoods at 60 miles an hour. The problem is that's the Bailey. The Mott is how much of the city it covers. These are the figures for the 15 mile an hour school zone speed limit. It's huge chunks of the city. This is the safety corridors of the city. Huge chunks of the city. And you'll notice it's not just like the densely packed downtown areas. This extends all the way into some of the less densely packed kind of northern city sections. I mean,
Well, and the craziest shit is this isn't going to help anything
yeah.
because the people that are going to speed, we're going to speed regardless of what the speed limit is.
Well, and also because the speed of travel on the road, and people need to understand this, is not determined by the statutory limit. It's determined by the safety limit of the car that you're in and the road that you're on. And that's not like, oh, this is how it should be. That's how it is. That's what determines what speed people drive. If you build a road that an average car can safely traverse at 40 miles an hour, guess how fast everyone's going to be going? 40 miles an hour.
40.
So
Easily.
If you want people to slow down in residential areas, which I agree with, plant some trees. That's literally all it takes. Like, plant a bunch of trees along the side of the road. People slow down.
So in Houston, we have a loop, like a big loop road around downtown. Mm-hmm. Anything outside of that, the speed limit is like for all the roads going out and straight away are 65, and even that loop road is 65. I've never seen a day where if there's not massive traffic, people aren't going 80. And none of the cops do anything about it because everyone's doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's not the limit has nothing to do with how fast people drive. It
Yeah.
tells you how fast you should be driving, and then people go, "Well, that's dumb. I'm not fucking getting anywhere," and go do whatever they want anyway.
Yeah. They're going to spend 2.4 million to change out 3,000 speed limit signs instead of spending 2.4 million to make actual changes to the infrastructure to slow people down where they need to be slowed down. Because like you'd think, and I don't want people to watch this and take away the position of like, oh well, he just wants everyone to be able to drive like a maniac. Like I don't. I agree with slowing down drivers in certain areas. I think that the Eisenhower interstate system shouldn't have a speed limit. It's my position, but I've lived in nice residential areas, and I'd like everyone to be able to live in a nice residential area. This is a very bad way of going about it because all you're going to do is you're going to spend $2.4 million to change out all these road signs. You're going to collect maybe a bit more tax revenue because you might be pulling more people over, and you're not going to save any lives doing it. It's a complete security theater. Plant some trees, put up some of those flat, crosswalks with flashers, and take the people that hit other people on the roads or that put other people in danger and put them behind bars for a couple years. Because you don't do that, you let them out, and they keep doing that.
Yeah, San Diego has a lot bigger problems than what this.
Yeah, this
Like a lot
honestly
bigger
reads
problems.
a lot like ineffective, toothless lawmakers that have let a lot of problems run rampant, trying to make a big song and dance, pretending to fix things so that people continue to vote for them. And I mean, there are some
I think
consequences for your average driver.
I think the term you used earlier is very, very suited for this. Security theater is about everything they do in California at all anyway.
Yeah.
So this fits right in with that.
Yeah.
This looks good on paper. It won't actually change anything, but it'll look good on paper and it'll look good to the press for a little bit, and then we'll just hide any evidence that it's not working under the rug.
Yeah. I also like 189.6, 190 miles, eligible as crash heavy safety corridors. So these are roads, if I can find it again. These are roads where they've identified that there are a lot of crashes, and their solution is to lower the speed limit.
Okay, I would love to see.
Don't you
I
want
would
to
love to see a
like
pothole.
maybe look at the roads and see why there's so many crashes? Because I guarantee it's not the speed people are going.
I would like
There's
to see
other
a pothole
factors.
density chart for every single one of those roads.
Yeah.
Like a pothole density chart and like road roughness chart. Because crashes happen because people are speeding, but crashes also happen because a road is so rough that you can't get any fucking traction on it when you're trying to stop.
Yeah. I would actually argue against the notion that crashes are caused by people speeding. Aside from the honestly minority of incidents where people are going way too fast and don't know how to control the car, the vast majority of crashes, the speed that people are going maybe makes them worse, but the crash would have still happened either way, I would
What
argue.
I would like to say there's probably a percentage of the crashes on any one of these roads that are tourists, and tourists are not used to what's going on around there. I mean, if you go to San Diego, I think is still got a very large population of people that are just off the street on the fucking walkway shooting up constantly. Like
Yeah.
that kind of shit for people that are traveling, if you travel to California from Texas to go visit family and then end up in the San Diego area and you got kids, that doesn't look very good.
No.
This is all stuff that you're constantly watching instead of right where you need to be watching. Those sidewalks need to have people going about their business, not people shooting up in alleys.
Yeah. 32 miles eligible as pedestrian and cyclist activity corridors. All right, so build bike lanes that are physically segmented from the road, and then start ticketing cyclists that ride in the road. There we go. That solves your problem. Get the cyclists into the bike lanes and make the bike lanes fine for cyclists.
So about 6 months ago, I actually saw an article that it might have been out of China, it might have been out of Korea. I want to give Korea the credit because I don't think maybe China, I don't know. but they built a highway, and in the middle of the highway, instead of like a HOV lane or anything, they have a bike lane running straight down the middle of the highway between the two sets of roads, and then they have ways out of it. The entire thing is covered so the bicyclists don't get like massive sunburns and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But all the coverings, the top of them are solar panels, which powers all the fucking lights and everything on the road.
That sounds like Japan, actually.
It might be Japan. It might be Japan that I'm thinking of. This was 6 months ago, so I don't remember exactly what it was. I remember it's an Asian country. That's about all I remember. But that's a brilliant fucking idea. That's good architecture to me.
Yeah. You can also, and I'm saying this as a diehard car enthusiast, build better public transit and actually police your public transit so that people actually are able to use it without getting fucking stabbed with a used needle. Build public transit so that you can get people off the roads, taking the bus to work, and then you have fewer cars on the road. And then on some of these roads, you can raise the speed limit a little bit so that the people that just want to drive can have a little bit of fun doing it.
Make public transit safe enough and reliable enough to get people where they need to go.
Yeah.
And then also, fucking, for people that are very stupid behind the wheel or too timid behind the wheel, be willing to take away their driver's licenses and make them use the public transit. But you have to do both at the same time, because if you do one or the other, it doesn't work out.
You know, robust public transit so that all the people who think the cars are just appliances to get them from A to B get out of cars and take the bus everywhere like they should.
Yeah.
And bikes. Robustly enforced road safety laws, actual road safety, not talking about, the dumb things that don't do anything. Actual, like, okay, you're being unsafe on the road. Robustly enforce that so that, the idiots get off the road. And then all that's going to be on the road are public transit, buses, trams, trolleys, whatever, that are carrying people that don't care about driving. And then a bunch of people that really like driving, and because they really like driving, they practiced at it. Because they're practiced at it, they're good at it, and they're really safe. That's how you make a world. We can have a world where you don't need a car to get anywhere, but you can enjoy driving and have fun with it because there aren't jackasses on the road that don't care about driving, that just want to get from point A to point B and don't bother getting any better at it.
Yeah.
That's the nuanced take to being a motoring enthusiast. But yeah, my position on this, it's a bunch of security theater to prop up some politicians that probably aren't doing very well in the polls.
It's just not addressing the bullshit problem. To save image. Yeah. I mean, this is we can't be bothered to fix the drug problem and the homeless problem. Let's pretend to fix something else and then blame all of the problems on the fact that people are speeding.
Yeah. Although, moving on to that's a decent segue to our next point, which is in Cincinnati over the weekend, the Cincinnati police arrested you dropped out. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I pressed the wrong button. I planned to close one page, closed another, and shit happened. There we go. I am back. All right, we're good. Continue on, sir.
I need to pull you up. There we go. Show on stream. You're good. Okay, so in Cincinnati, they basically what happened is they I think they got some news. So these idiots had a planned takeover. So they got together in their little idiot groups that have undercover cops in them and planned to have a big takeover. So the undercover cops knew. So they had cops not like at where they were, obviously, because that's going to deter the idiots, but like lingering kind of sort of adjacent to the area, who then caught a bunch of idiots driving erratically on surface streets and pulling into a high school. And then they swooped in and arrested a bunch of them before they could do their stupid idiot things. And what's very funny is one of the people they arrested had a gun in a school zone.
That's going to go over about as well as a brick on the head.
That's a felony, my friend. Yeah, so 65 vehicles were towed. There are some reports from other sources that cops were out there slashing tires. I don't that's a little far, I think.
Okay, so let's clarify the gun in the school zone real quick, because I need clarification on this, and it may be different with Texas law, but
or it was
is it
on school property, I should say, not in the school zone.
it was on school property, so it was
Yes.
like in the parking lots and shit.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're just driving through a school zone and you have a gun in the car, that's not technically illegal unless you're committing some other act. I'm
So
assuming.
the last time I looked into this was in Washington State. So this, I can only confirm this applies to Washington State. In Washington State, you couldn't have a firearm on school property or within 1,000 feet of a school unless either you lived there or
Okay.
you were passing through. So, like, you could drive through a school zone. You couldn't go on school property if you had a firearm in your car, but you could drive past the school with a gun in your car as long as you're just going through. Cops pull you over, they find the firearm. You're just going through, you're just passing along. They can't ding you for that. If you own a home across the street from a school, you can have firearms in that home. That's perfectly fine because you live there. There's a legitimate reason for you to be there. But otherwise, you can't be like hanging around with a concealed carry or, wandering around in the area, loitering in the area with a firearm. You have to be passing through. You have to be
Gotcha.
living there.
So this person was actively committing a takeover,
yeah.
and doing dumb shit with a gun in the car on the property.
Actually, I will amend that. Paddock Road and I-75, that may not have been on school property or near the school. So I will roll that one back, which would that they could have known the firearm was present first, so that they could have nailed him bringing a firearm onto school property, because these idiots deserve to get charges stacked.
It's very possible that he wasn't on school property. I will give them that. But the same kind of people that are willing to do takeovers also like to steal cars. And it would not be surprising if they didn't register firearms or had stolen firearms.
Oh, well.
So unless this article specifically says, I'm willing to bet the gun might be stolen.
It might be. In a just world, if he was driving a stolen car and he had a gun on him, that should upgrade his Grand Theft Auto charge to a armed enhancement. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think, frankly, these idiots are going to get $500 signature bonds, because one of the big reasons why this stupid shit keeps happening is because there's basically no punishment for it. You're out on bond like in the morning and you get community service. We need to shut this down. I'm a fan of having fun with cars. I'm a fan of car meets, and we'll get into what the consequence of not shutting this down, both from a outside the car community legal perspective, general people perspective, and inside the car community, just not doing what we can, not allowing this to happen, shunning the people to take part in this dumb shit. Because this Slammed Enough Gat taught us that this kind of bullshit behavior, if we let it fester unchecked in our community, has very real consequences for people that are just trying to have legit fun. People that are just trying to go to car meets and hang out and have fun and check out cars and, build a community around cars and around enjoying driving them. I wish that they would take all these 39 people they arrested and stack charges to the moon and put them in jail for a very long time, because we need to shut this stuff down. People going into, doing this dumb shit where they do the takeover shit. They go into an intersection and they block it off and they do hood rat shit, stolen cars. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Because
and I will say, as far as with the Slammed Enough Gat situation, some of those people got arrested and they were only revving. I'm going to be honest, if you're not in a residential area and not right next to a residential area, if you're at a gas station in the middle of fucking town and the houses are way off in the distance, revving should be fine. Yeah. And, that's my personal opinion, is revving should be fine. If you start trying to do burnouts in a fucking still position, then yeah, go for it.
I mean, hold on to that, because we'll get to that. Believe it or not, it will come up. Talking about that, on that point specifically, I would argue the most just position is revving is fine as long as it's below a certain volume. Because I do think it's reasonable to say that there's a limit to the amount of noise someone should be able to make. because it does carry and it does cause, you know, not just like, it doesn't just bother people. It long-term loud noise exposure can cause very real physiological problems. But like, yeah, you know, I think a little bit of revving, you know,
But like I said,
couple
if they can
pulls to
find a
redline's
place
fine.
that's away from houses and shit where people are trying to sleep, then
Yeah, and
I don't see the issue.
if you're in a the ultimate end of that is like if you're in a field in the middle of nowhere in like rural
Yeah.
Nebraska or whatever, which is the real place to go and just full send. But
I will say revving aloud, as long as it's under a certain decibel limit, it's not really feasible because most people don't rev unless they have modified exhaust, and most of those are loud.
yeah. Um so yeah, this dumb shit is going to continue happening until we crack down on it, because like again, I love coming together at car meets and hanging out and like building cars, modding cars, showing them off, looking at other people's cars they've built and modded. And this type of stuff running unchecked directly infringes on and attacks that, because the cops, the authorities, the lawmakers do not make a distinction between these illegal gatherings, largely of stolen vehicles, where people do hood rat shit, get in fights, shoot each other, kill each other, and the legitimate like bunch of dudes getting together in a parking lot of a strip mall after everything's closed with their hoods up and checking stuff out. You know, this has a direct impact on the rest of us. And I have, to segue, an example of this. Where I live, Albany, New York, unfortunately, I wish I lived somewhere nicer. Albany, New York. They want a new, it's thankfully a city ordinance, so it only has effect in city limits. They're considering a new law, which is advertised as curbing illegal street racing and dangerous, you know, sideshow events, which is where people go and, you know, do, you know, revs, burnouts, donuts in public places, takeover shit, essentially.
Wanting to do that is perfectly fine, and honestly, I am all for it. Get rid of the fucking idiots.
Yeah. However, and this is where we go into the significant negative consequences it has for those of us who aren't complete hood rats, who just want to have some responsible fun, is how the law is written. And this for this episode is going to be what grinds my gears. What grinds my gears is this sort of shit. What grinds my gears is a lot of stuff. It's this sort of shit, but it's also why this shit exists. Because of the broccoli-haired weirdos that are allowed to run unchecked because they weren't parented properly, and now that they're adults, they don't have any real consequences to their shit. And so, in response, lawmakers make bullshit laws like this. And I have the text of the law here. And again, Mott and Bailey, right? The Bailey is, this is to deal with illegal takeovers, which, yeah, infringe on people's right and ability, not right, I suppose, privilege, people's ability to utilize public roads. And illegal street races, which, you know, are a significant risk to the unprotected, non-consenting public. That's the Bailey. The Mott is all the BS that this does to actual car owners. So this is a bunch of stuff that's now, if this passes, going to be illegal in the city of Albany. Burnouts, which is defined as, thankfully, spinning a vehicle's wheels while keeping the vehicle stationary. So if you're actually moving, if you're peeling away and making 11s, that's not illegal. They can probably still ding you for it, but it's not explicitly listed.
They're still gonna pull you over, and in Texas, I think,
yeah,
you can get pulled over for doing that, and I believe they call it gross display of power or some shit like that. So they have a term for it. Yeah, and it's dumb. But so they will probably still be able to ding you for that, but just stationary burnouts. Wait, so if it's only stationary burnouts, they're doing burnouts in circles. So technically the tires are moving, which means they're not doing stationary burnouts. How does that work?
Well, the car is stationary. In circles, we go to donuts. Those are illegal. And that's A maneuver performed. I love these descriptions, by the way. A maneuver performed while driving a vehicle that entails rotating the rear or front of the vehicle around the opposite set of wheels in a continuous motion, often causing the tires to emit smoke from friction and creating a circular skid mark pattern of rubber on the road surface. Drifting. Drifting is going to be illegal. Intentionally oversteers with loss of traction while maintaining control and driving the car through the entirety of a corner. I mean, I do this sometimes on the way home.
Yeah, me too.
Great. I'm not putting anyone at risk.
I waste my tires a lot worse than you do, though, because you got snow.
I do it in a controlled and safe manner. This is now going to be illegal. Actually, it's something further referred to as a power slide.
Yeah.
Which is not the same, strictly speaking, as drifting, but okay. This definition should concern people. Instrumentality of an offense. A vehicle, the use of which contributed directly and materially to the commission of an offense is defined in this article. So it's not just a car that someone drove to do this. It's a car that's involved in it in some fashion.
Okay, I have a feeling this is going to be extended to people that are sitting at the lights waiting to go while this shit goes on.
I think it's going to be extended to if there's a bunch of people doing this shit like in an empty strip mall parking lot in the middle of the night, ruining a car meet, it's going to apply to every car at that meet. So if we're just having a calm, chill car meet and we're chatting about cars and whatever, and some idiots show up, start doing burnouts, start doing donuts, you best pack up and leave before the cops get there, even if you're not doing anything wrong, because potentially it could be argued in court that there is an instrumentality of an offense. You contributed directly and materially to the commission of an offense, because by being there and having the car meet at which the offense was committed, you technically contributed. You hosted, you had the car meet, you were participating. So that's fun. Participate, facilitate, organize, facilitate, promote, take, or have a part or share in, partake in, share in, take, indulge in. So if I watch this content on YouTube, am I participating? Concur in, like, broad definitions of some of this stuff. Racing and drag racing. Revving. We'll bring that up. While driving a vehicle entails I love these descriptions, entails the increasing of revolutions permitted of the crankshaft of an engine. Okay? Whether or not the vehicle is in motion, thereby causing whether or not the vehicle is in motion. So, if I'm pulling out of work and I hang a right, and, in manual mode, I'm holding it in first. I hang a right, step on the throttle at 4,000 RPM, and upshift at 7.2. Oh no, I'm revving. Now I'm in violation of this. And if you want to know why I'm so worked up about how easy it is to be in violation of this BS, we'll get to that. We'll get to the consequences they impose, because that's even worse. Sideshows, spectator. So you're being done for this if you're a spectator. Street racing, street takeover, stunt behavior. I mean, street takeover, yeah, sure. This is one of the few parts of this it's like I agree with. But again, that's the Bailey. Wheelies. You drive a motorcycle? Congratulations. Can't do wheelies anymore.
You're not supposed to be doing wheelies anyway, so that's not really changing. But yeah, the penalties are about to get worse. This is sounding all very familiar, by the way. This is sounding like they want to have a situation. Have you heard of Keller Moore?
No.
So Keller Moore is this YouTuber that does car stuff that was hosting car meets in Nashville, Tennessee. Some dumbasses, and he tried to have police help to stop the dumbasses being dumbasses at his car meets. They arrested him for hosting the car meets. This sounds like the exact shit that would make sure he doesn't have a case, but in Albany.
That's ridiculous. I mean, that's absurd.
So he has it on camera actively trying to get police to help him stop the bad behavior.
That's madness. if I'm in that position, I'm trying to host a car meet. I'm trying to, like, I'm with you on this. I don't want this kind of crazy behavior. I just want, people to look at cars. I'm trying to get you to shut down the behavior, and you arrest me because the behavior that I'm trying to stop is happening. It's completely ridiculous. But if you want to know why I'm so worked up, Section 359 TAC 149, warrantless seizures. Because if you commit any of this, they can seize your car, and not only can they seize your car, they can forfeit your car. The state, not only are they going to take it and impound it, they can just take the car from you without compensation. And it's not just if you take part in this, because it's so much broader and it's so much bullshit, so much more bullshit.
It effectively is sounding like if you're in the area and they fucking want to seize your car, they just take it.
Yeah, if they want to seize, and we'll get to that.
It's parked in the area. It could have been somebody that came here and then rode away with somebody else, so we're just going to take that one too.
Yeah, it's a really nice Challenger Scat Pack, and Albany PD needs a new Interceptor, but they really don't want to pay for a new Interceptor. So you happen to be at a car meet showing off your custom-built Charger Scat, or whatever, Challenger Scat Pack, whatever the case may be. You were showing it off at a car meet, and then somebody showed up and decided to do burnout. So you're technically party to that illegal behavior, which means we can technically seize your car and just, now Albany Police Department has a new custom-built Scat Pack for an Interceptor. That's awesome. Thank you for the donation, citizen.
Not only thank you for the donation, if they forfeit the car and don't want to keep it, they can auction it off. So not only did you lose money, but they made more money.
Yeah.
And if they don't forfeit your car but do seize it, you can get it back, but you have to pay for the towing and storage fees.
We'll get to that. Because it's even more bullshit than that. It thankfully exempts commercial vehicles, and so it says it omits vehicles that were stolen.
Well, dude, the truckers union would have a fucking riot if they tried to do that with commercial vehicles.
Yeah, it says it omits stolen vehicles. So if your car gets stolen used for this stuff, you're not on the hook for it, thankfully. But the non-criminal defendant must take all prudent steps which are not defined. It's vague as shit. All prudent steps to prevent the illegal use of their property and willful disregard by the, again, not defined, by the owner or lien holder of the acts giving rise to forfeiture shall not constitute a defense to such forfeiture.
So effectively, they could make an argument that even though your car was in a locked garage, you didn't do enough to prudently stop the theft of that car.
They can arbitrarily define what those prudent steps are. And it's up to you. It's up to you to try and defend against that. I have what I consider to be a decently nice car. I have a Scion FRS. I live in an apartment complex. I don't have a garage because I can't have a garage because there aren't any garages for me to have. If my car gets stolen from me in the middle of the night, which is already a stressful and frustrating position to be in, and is taken to a car meet and spun around, tires are destroyed, car's wrecked, and it gets seized and towed. And after I've gone through all the bullshit with that, they can tell me, and they can say, well, we're seizing and we're forfeiting your car. You don't own it anymore. And I show up at court to defend the forfeiture, and they say, you had it parked out openly in a parking lot, so clearly you didn't take all prudent steps. The fact that there were steps that you couldn't take all prudent steps does not exempt you from forfeiture. What kind of logic is that? So, and again,
it's the logic of people where they don't want the average citizen to be able to get in their way to do whatever the fuck they want. This isn't about this. This is about control.
Yeah. And it's deliberately written vague as hell to let them seize basically any vehicle under slim pretexts and do what they want with it.
It's vague and broad. If this passes, this needs to go straight to federal court and go, this can't be allowed.
Yeah. If, after a seizure of property has been made, it is determined that the non-criminal defendant has met the burden set forth here above. So if you do manage to say, You seized my car. It was stolen. Oh, the other thing too, by the way, is an argument could be made by a court that sufficiently want to take your car from you that if the vehicle was seized before you reported it stolen, so if you're asleep
you were
and
party to the crime, yes.
Yeah, well, not necessarily part of the crime, but if you were asleep and the alarm didn't go off and they drove away with it and they did burnouts or whatever, by the time you wake up, you look outside, your car's not there, you call, it's impounded, it was used in a takeover, you go through all this BS legal stuff trying to get your car back, and they're like, well, you didn't report it stolen, so you didn't take all prudent actions. There goes your car. But yeah, the non-criminal defendant has met the burden set forth. So I now have to go and prove that my car was stolen from me and that I didn't use, even if like I wasn't arrested, there's no proof I was anywhere near the car meet, and I'm saying, you know, and there's no proof I was driving, no proof I was near the car meet, I wasn't arrested, I'm not being charged with anything, I still have to prove that I need the car back because it was stolen from me.
And they're going to make you pay for it.
Yeah. Made available for release to the lawful owner at the place of storage, subject to payment of reasonable and customary towing, maintenance, and storage fees to the date of release. So I have to pay for what in all likelihood is my car being trashed by a bunch of weirdos, which means new tires, probably new suspension work, probably new wheels if it's been smashed up. Probably,
well, and it's sucking in its own fumes, so
yeah,
you've got to fucking make sure the engine isn't clogged.
Yeah, if they do the shit they do with stolen cars where they jump all over it, great. That's a new windshield. That's new body paneling all over the car. For my FRS, that's probably $15,000 worth of repairs, which is twice what the car, almost twice what I paid for the car, and that's $3,000 more than it's worth on market. So on top of all that I have to pay, most of which I have to pay for, and my insurance company totaling the car and dealing with all that and dealing with having it titled and re-inspected, all that. I also the victim of this, have to pay for the towing. That's like $200 to $500. I have to pay for the storage, which is like $100 a day, and I have to pay for any maintenance fees for any maintenance they decide to do, which in all likelihood is putting 87 octane gas in a car designed for 91 octane fuel, or if I've modded it any, maybe I've put a flex fuel kit on, or maybe not even flex fuel, maybe I've tuned it for E85, you know, because I can get E85 down the street. I tune this thing, this is a race car, I tune it on E85 race gas, and they put 87 in it, so when I pull out of the impound lot, not knowing this, my engine blows up. And I'm on the hook for that too, and they're going to charge me for the shitty gas they put in it.
Well, and I would also like to say that there's a very high possibility, I mean, this is New York, which means, you know, there's possible corruption here, which means the towing bill could be really high so that certain people can get kickbacks. So it might not be 200, it might be 500. Yeah. And it might be this, and it might be that, and it might be, but these people just want these people want your money and they want free access to your shit.
Yeah.
They're not getting it the legal way with the whole socialism angle, so they're just going to start taking it where they can.
Yeah. Whenever property is forfeited, the claiming authority of the respective designee they can retain it. So the cops can retain it. They can sell it. If it's not required to be destroyed by law, they can transfer the property or asset to any city agency, department, or other political subdivision demonstrating need for the specific property or asset. I work government adjacent. I could go on all fucking day about how easy it is to get a justification of need for whatever BS you want. And again, any city, so it's not like the cops have to say, like, oh, our department, you know, needs this. You can't say, well, you've already got like 50 C's police interceptors. You don't need any more, because any city agency, like, oh, City Hall wants loaner cars for its employees, and this guy's got a really nice built FRS that the mayor would love to be able to tool around it. There we go.
There should just be, it was a simple letter that says, hey, I kind of want this.
Yeah. So I mean,
this is abysmal. There's not words to describe how terrible this shit is.
Yeah. So again, Bailey getting rid of the shitty street takeovers and the street races that fuck with everybody else on the road. Mott, this bullshit. Where they now, if this passes, basically have carte blanche to seize like any vehicle on the road that is adjacent to that kind of nonsense. And you know, this isn't going to stop the broccoli-haired weirdos from doing this, because they're either tooling around stolen cars they don't have to care about, or they're tooling around cars bought with daddy's money they don't have to care about. They're going to be out of jail they're going to be out of jail next day, and next week they're going to have another one of these things. They don't care. Yeah. You, the you know, common or garden car enthusiast, care, but the city doesn't care about you. And thank God I do not live within the boundaries and therefore jurisdiction of the city of Albany. Thank God for that.
Well, how close are you to the border of New Jersey or whatever closest state?
New Jersey? I mean, New Jersey is about like 4 hours south of me. I'm about 2 hours out of Lake New Hampshire. Because that's where I go. That's where I go for half of the motorsport events that I go to, is New Hampshire. Like shit like this is the reason why the car market for enthusiasts in New York State fucking sucks. You cannot find any enthusiast cars, i.e., cheap used cars that are interesting in the whole state. And it's not because of the rust. Everyone says it's because of the rust. Everyone says, oh, they rust out. That's BS. Because you can go to New Hampshire, you can go to Massachusetts, you can go to Connecticut, you can go to Pennsylvania, and you can find plenty of fun, cheap enthusiast cars. Cheap Z cars, cheap Bimmers, cheap Scions. You can find them in other states. You can't find them in New York. And it's because of this, the whole attitude that goes into this is why. Yeah, and also, like, no person shall participate or engage in any of this in a parking lot, public property, or private property open to the public. So it has to be on a closed lot with all the BS that entails. No person shall knowingly be present as a spectator within 200 feet of any of this. So define knowingly. If I'm parked down the street getting ice cream.
Okay, but you could also make the argument that anybody that happened to be on that street corner when they started spinning was unknowingly, and then if they were just like, huh, that's interesting, like 2 seconds later, they're now knowingly doing it.
Yeah.
So there's no, it's written so vague and so broad that they can pull whatever they want on this and not have any pushback.
And you know what's the fuck of it? After all of this, like, we're going to come down and we're going to seize and take your car if it's even remotely involved in this. You know what the actual punishment is? The actual punishment is, on first offense, imprisonment. It shall constitute a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor. Imprisonment of not more than 6 months, which is never going to happen unless you hurt somebody, or a fine of not more than $600.
So they're going to seize your car, but only see
$600. The second offense is within 10 years is imprisonment of not more than 1 year or fine of not more than $1,000 or both. But it's still a misdemeanor. Like, you're doing all this, you're saying, we're cracking down on these horrible street takeovers. It's a misdemeanor with a $600 fine. But it gives you a carte blanche to take any car that any, city government agency kind of wants its hands on.
And that reinforces exactly what I said about this has nothing to do with actually getting rid of the behavior. It has everything to do with they defunded police in New York, and now they need a way to replace vehicles.
Yeah.
So this is what it's sounding like. It sounds like they want a cheap way to replace vehicles with newer models.
Like, if you were serious about this, it would be a misdemeanor to, like, knowingly take part in, and you would define that, and actually being in the car for this, driving the car, doing burnouts and donouts in a public intersection when people are trying to get home or whatever, would be a felony. Minimum 1 year in prison, minimum fine of $5,000, etc., etc. If you actually cared. They don't care. They just want your car. And this, again, like, people say, like, oh, why do you care about street takeovers? Why do you care about this? This is why I care. Because it gives them an excuse to do this dumb shit. Because if you, like, if the car community were totally straight-laced and weren't, you know, doing stupid shit, because it is, we all have to bear responsibility. It's happening. It's our people. We can try and deny it. Doesn't matter, right? We need to step up on this.
It's not our people, but we get roped into it every fucking time.
Yeah, and shut the shit down when we see it. If we weren't doing, you know, dumb shit, you know, totally straight-laced, you know, we have our car meets in strip mall parking lots and we're totally civilized about it, and this came up, you know, you wouldn't be seeing an article from CBS 6 Albany going, you know, oh, we're cracking down on street racing and sideshows. Finally, those broccoli-haired weirdos will see justice. It would be the city's trying to steal cars from people that are just trying to, you know, have peaceable car meets. The reason they can get away with this kind of a tone and thus get the public on their side is because the public aren't seeing honest, respectable car meets by civilized people. They're seeing hooligans taking over their streets, stealing their cars, and doing dumb shit, and revving their engines at 2 a.m.
It's what gets sensationalized.
Yeah.
The news isn't about what actually matters. It's about what gets sensationalized. And takeovers are sensationalized. People almost getting hit by people doing donuts and stupid shit in intersections is going to go through the news in a cycle a lot better and get more numbers than people enjoying themselves with ice cream and their fucking cars and a bunch of their buddies sitting in a parking lot doing absolutely nothing wrong but looking at nice automobiles.
Yeah.
And the government doesn't have time for nuance. It has time for,
well, the government doesn't want nuance. The government wants to take your car. And nuance gets in the way of that.
Well, the Albany government sure as hell wants to take your car.
Yeah. So, I mean, I encourage everyone, like, if you don't already know about the Slam Enough Gat situation, look into the Slam Enough Gat situation, because that is what people are seeing, and that is what we need to shut down. I mean, frankly, I think as much as that guy from Tennessee, and I'm sorry, I forget his name, as much as, like, he got done up, he was doing it the right way, and we need more people doing it the right way, even if they are risking dumb stuff like that.
The Tennessee government is trying to give him 5 years in jail for hosting car meets.
Ridiculous. But, like,
which is way more than they're trying to do in Albany, by the way. Albany is like a straight up, they just want to take your car.
Yeah.
So they can auction it off to get more. New York is drowning in its own debt right now. This has nothing to do with getting rid of bad behavior. It has everything to do with making sure that they can pay their own bills.
Yeah. But, like, the solution to this, I think, is we start having more private, more closed car meets. We talk to business owners, we get stuff arranged, we post an entry fee, and we unfortunately we have to rope in the authorities on this, on organizing these. Like, we unfortunately, like, this kind of stuff and Slam Enough Gat is the death of the informal car meet. We can't do this informally anymore because it's been ruined. We have to go through formal channels, which sucks. It sucks that we can't just show up at a parking lot and hang out and look at each other's cars. But
in certain places you still can. Like, I have really, really localized car meets in the little place where I live, and that's its own little fucking bubble away from Houston. And you know, it's 10 or 12 guys that go out there and they do it every Saturday, and these are fine. I mean, nobody shows up because it's because of the socioeconomics of the area, not the fucking.
And also because it's a small community, and I imagine everybody knows each other. And like, stop giving these broccoli-haired weirdos that show up with daddy's car any attention. Not just in person, but, like, on social media. Stop giving them attention. Stop giving clips, because that's why they're doing it. They're doing it for attention and clicks. Stop giving it to them, and just you know, if the and I hate to say it, but if you're at a car meet and people are starting to do that dumb shit, just get in your car and drive away. You already know you're not. You already know you're not going to have a good night, so just get in your car and drive away. You know, close out that car meet, and then they can be stuck there doing stupid burnouts and revving their shit all night long by themselves, and then they get done by the police, and then their cars can be taken. And eventually, and by eventually I mean like 5 to 10 years, because that's how long this is going to take. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but eventually we can maybe get back to a position where we can start just beating in parking lots again. And if you live in Albany or the Albany area, write a letter to your representative. If you live in the city especially, write a letter to your, I think it's like an alderman or something, like city representatives, and say, this is BS. Take this draft back and revise it. Take out all the, you know, tighten up all the stuff that gives them ridiculous carte blanche to just take people's cars, and impose actual penalties on the people that are driving the cars in these stupid meets. These, not even meets, in these stupid takeovers. And then maybe, just maybe, we can start having fun on the roads again. And because frankly, like, properly having fun on the roads is going to involve like being in a gray zone in the law. Like, it does. Okay. You know, I'm not going to pretend like everyone, you know, banging around down the back roads is doing exactly the speed limit. Like, no,
none of them are.
But we need to have a society where there's enough leeway for that to happen. And broccoli-haired weirdos doing dumb shit is how we get a society where car enthusiasts are like monitored and restricted, and you just can't have any fun in a car whatsoever. You know?
Yeah, there has to be a great, like, this is what most people don't understand, is like, we live in a world where everybody expects it's either black or white, good or bad, and it's either this way or this way. I'm sorry, that's not how the real world works. It's a spectrum. So we need a world where people are given enough freedom to, it's not no freedom and it's not too much freedom. There's a zone in the middle, and that's where we need to be.
Well, and if you want to know the conclusion of this, and part of why I'm getting so worked up about like we need to kind of set straight and fly right, is because the end result of this is Europe, where there are 48,000 speed cameras in an area the size of like the American Midwest between the Appalachians and the Rockies. 48,000 speed cameras, and where the speed limits are like 30 miles an hour on regular on the kind of roads that would have like a 50 or a 60 in the US, where it's super locked down and super policed, and people can lose their cars over the dumbest shit, and where there are so many laws around modding. I mean, look up German laws around modifying your car. You basically can't do it. That's where we end up if we don't build an enthusiast community that, yes, can stand up for itself, but that also is willing to admit when people are being antisocial weirdos and kick them out of our communities. Yeah. So that's enough ranting on that, because I've started to repeat myself. On that terrible disappointment, wish I had more optimistic news, but on that terrible disappointment, it is time to end. Thank you so much for watching the third episode of the 8-6 Experience, and we'll see you again next week. Have a good day.
Later, guys.